number one thing the county's looking at is roads. A capital project sales tax is now a possibility. Tell me how that would work.
It would be a penny on things that would be automatically, groceries would be exempt, and it would be strictly for roads, and it's called capital sales tax. It could be on the ballot this coming November, and it would go straight to roads, and that's what it would be. There would be a penny tax, but groceries would be excluded.
The county council would put together a committee with the towns.
They would select 6 members. 3 would be from the county, then 1 would be from the city of Anderson, and then there would be 2 others appointed by the city.
So prioritizing roads.
Well, we already know what the priority is. We've already got a study that we paid for that tells us which roads need to go first. And the people selected for that committee would obviously know that.
And right now, there's what, $250 million backlog, something like that?
250 million would be easy. Some people even say $1 billion, but 250 would be good.
Get started on the thing. So the next step then is council and the committee to put together a referendum, and then if all, like you said, if all works well, it goes on the ballot in November.
Correct.
All right. Looking ahead to the budget, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the year ahead?
Roads, that's always a big challenge. And some upgrades that we need to make in certain areas, like we are looking to modernize the treasurer, the assessor's office, and the auditor's office. And that's a several step process, but we wanted to bring that to the attention of council at the retreat, and the treasurer and the assessor and auditor brought that, what they needed and how they wanted to do it. And there's some steps that they have to do first before it can be put into place. So we're in the early stages of that, but council's aware of it and fully support that. One of the things that we want to do with the Register of Deeds, and it's happening more and more often, is we want to purchase software almost immediately, because people are actually selling people's houses and people don't know that their house has been sold. Now, you can undo it at great, terrible expense to yourself, and you will face a whole lot of aggravation, and it's a tricky path. And so we have the money, Register of Deeds charges. So we have the money from the fees charged in the Register of Deeds office to implement this, and we want to implement this as soon as possible.
And that's happening all over the country.
It's happening all over the country.
One of the things that the recent county council retreat, they talked about fleet services that takes care of all the vehicles from sheriff's cars to bulldozers in the county, and it's kind of behind budget, right?
We need to increase the budget for our fleet operations. We have more officers on the road. We have our new codes enforcement operation, and when we took over the paramedic service, we purchased some vehicles. So we need to punch that up in fleet services, and so that's one of the things the council's looking at doing.
And they had a plan in place so they could just roll things over, but now costs have gone up so much.
We rolled them over, and it worked perfectly well until a car that we used to buy for $60,000, fully outfitted for police work, is about $100,000. Mowers have gone up almost double. All of the equipment that we need to maintain Anderson County has jumped dramatically in price.
And we've talked about this, and you can, if people want to ride by, they can see it. What's the latest on the new detention center?
This is moving along very, very fast. They are on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, and you can ride by there and you can see the progress because it changes almost daily.
Already training people and getting ready to put people in place?
Yeah, and we'll have to increase the number of detention officers because there is a rule for so many prisoners require so many detention officers. And so, yes, we will be adding detention officers, not in one fell swoop, but as we go along because they have to be trained.
County Council approved the latest round of opioid funding, and one of those things was for Lovewell Ministries, which hopes to open an inpatient treatment center for women on Tower Street. You had a meeting about this. How will this arrangement benefit both the community and the county?
Well, right now, there are places for men to go to seek addiction counseling. Well, not so many for women. The World Treasure we have in Shalom does a magnificent job, but another one will not hurt. And because we're funding to a degree, and both of them raise money on their own, we're not their sole source. But with that opioid money, we can help these operations do better, see more people, and take the burden of having to raise every penny themselves off of them, and do what they do best, and that is treat people with addiction. We've got a couple of more hurdles to go on that, and we're working through those. But it's almost like a step. We've got to move this group so this group can come in, so this group can come in. So we're in the middle of that process right now.
And it will help take care of that building as well, is that right?
It will help take care of that building, which needs a massive amount of work. And the thing, I mean, it's an inpatient facility. Nobody will be walking outside the building unless they're in a car with a staff person going to an AA meeting or a medical doctor or something like that. So we'll not put anybody on the street. They will be in a confined facility, and it's a 4-month program.
And that area is where Salvation Army, Haven Arrest, Lot Project, everything already exists.
Yes.
They're already sort of in one place now.
Yes.
The cleanup from Hurricane Helene is winding up. Some people are still getting their trees picked up. Is most of the cleanup underway, and is most of it going to be paid for by FEMA funds?
We're hoping most of it will be paid for by FEMA funds. Well underway. It depends on who you talk to.
If it's in your yard.
If it's in your yard, it's not well on the way. But we're out every day, and they're doing that every day, 7 days a week. And it is still a massive undertaking. So we've been extended well into February, which is going to take well into February because there's just so much debris. I believe you went last week and saw the mountain of mulch.
Millions of pounds.
Millions of pounds of mulch, which are giveaway free to the public. And I mean, those used to be trees. That's what they used to be. So it's just a big mess.
Also recently, council heard a report updating the Star Iva sewer system. According to what they talked about, the town of Iva owes the county $1.2 million for sewer system efforts. How did this debt happen, and what's going to happen with that?
I don't know how it's going to be resolved. 1.3 million is a lot of money, and currently there is a case in the courts to try to bring some resolution to that. But the system works fairly well unless it rains, and then it is just ungodly amounts of water, and the county has to pay for the treatment of that water. Even though it's just water, we have to pay for it. But one of the problems is because when they have those overflows, we can not add anything else to the sewer lines in that area because DHEC won't let us because of those rain events. It's at capacity, and we can't do anything else.
And that people don't realize that until their sewer starts backing up.
Until your sewer starts backing up.
You also recently presented to council plans for Anderson County to take over the planning management of the historic Pelzer Mill property. When will the county start drafting plans or vision casting for that property?
Well, what we will do, and I need to say this, that the Pelzer Historical Commission has done a wonderful, wonderful, miraculous job with what they've done, and we are not coming in to take over from them. We're coming in to partner with them and to partner with the town of Pelzer, and we want to do a complete plan that incorporates the land that Pelzer has, that the Pelzer Historic Commission has, and make it one whole and see if we can put something together that will showcase the Saluda River, showcase Pelzer, and really do something dynamic in that area. And the land on the river and Pelzer's historic charm, I think it's going to be a good thing for us to do, and I think it's going to be a fun thing for us to do.
Is that something that's going to take 10 years, 5 years?
Well, if we can get a good plan and we can attract some developers, there's some choice parcels over there that should go very, very well. But we need a cohesive plan, not say, let's sell this lot over here, well, let's do this over here. Let's do it all at once.
The county also has received $2.1 million in the last couple of years to help provide affordable housing and address the needs of homelessness. There's a plan that, if approved by council, that $1.6 million of that will be for a potential housing project called Hope Village. Remind me where that's going to be.
We're hoping it's going to be near the old Toxaway mill site. We have land there. We cleaned up those mill sites, and it is not a homeless shelter.
Riverside, Toxaway,
yes,
that area.
It would be transition housing, a nice neighborhood where people could go and then possibly move on to other things. But it's not going to be a homeless camp, homeless shelter, or anything like that. It is going to be transitional housing, nice transitional housing, something we don't have because we have a housing shortage in Anderson County.
And you're going to be working with Hope Missions, the upstate, on that? Or?
Yes, we absolutely will. And we're also working with them to try to find a location, a new location for them. As you well know, we work closely with Hope Missions, and that and several of our churches, God bless them, are really the only places people have to go. But people think of Hope Missions as just a place where people go and they get a free meal and they get some clothes. Hope Missions is a lot more than that. They have helped 168 people find permanent housing. They have a housing coordinator that came from a grant from Anderson County, a federal grant that we were able to channel to them. So they're finding homes for these people. Right now, right this very second, they're doing the yearly housing census. People say with us, we don't have any information, or where can I find that information? Well, you can go to several websites and it's readily available, but that census is going on right now today.
Yeah, they're working with the U.S. Census Bureau on that. And,
Yes.
They also help people get their documentation if they don't have a Social Security card or ID card.
Or they had never bothered to sign up for Social Security, or they do not know how to manage their medicine. There are a whole lot of services they provide.
And talking about properties and those kind of things, Anderson County has 24 other properties it's identified that council's considered deeding to some organizations. Habitat, Hope Mission, we just mentioned, and the Upstate, the Anderson Housing and Homeless Alliance. What about those properties? What will those groups be able to do with that?
They will be able to build homes, affordable homes on those properties, because they will not have to buy the land. Every one of those properties is already convenient to water and sewer. So that really reduces the cost. They just have to build the structure. We received those properties because we received a federal grant to tear down dilapidated houses on those properties. We as a county have been maintaining those lots throughout this process. And so now it's time to give them to these organizations to build affordable housing. And as you know, we also partner with Rebuild Upstate and several other groups to try to maintain the housing stock that we have. And
Keeping people in houses they couldn't really afford without.
well, if your roof goes off and your Social Security is $1,500 a month, you're not going to be able to afford a roof. But see, you have a housing shortage, but it's a housing shortage on two ends. You know, true, we have people moving here. We've been, just every magazine in the United States has said we're one of the best places to be. The other is you have people like I just mentioned. Rents are rising because of the lack of places to stay. And if you're on Social Security and that's all you have, you may be priced out of the market. It is very hard to find affordable housing. So we're hoping we can address that and at least make a small dent in that.
And those lots will actually improve those neighborhoods having new
They
homes.
would absolutely improve those neighborhoods. These are infill lots. It's not a string of lots side by side.
Speaking of old buildings, the historic courthouse work has been going on a little over a year now. What's the latest on that?
It'll probably be going on for another 6 months. Every time we get started, you know, we have bad weather, and you don't want to work up on top of that roof in really bad weather, but it's coming along nicely, and the bricks aren't falling out of the side of the building anymore, so we have more work to do, but when it's done, hopefully it'll last for another 127 years.
And it's going to need a new elevator? Is that down the road?
Just about every building in the county is going to need a new elevator at some point in time, but yes, a new
They're
elevator.
expensive, and they just
They are
push down the road.
very, very expensive.
Oh, any other major building projects that we hadn't talked about?
Well, we're hoping to receive some substantial federal funding from sports fisheries to do some more work at Green Pond, and we're also looking to receive some more money from different parks in the county. We're working very hard to secure all the money we can to increase the number of parks we have and to maintain the number of parks we have.
And that gets more expensive every year.
Well, it gets more expensive, but I can assure you that that's one of the big requests we get is for parks and recreation. That's a constant drumbeat.
And the construction already going on at some of them now.
Well, Kid Venture, the airport, those are underway. The park in Piedmont, that's underway. We just opened the bids for that. We're doing
How long
some.
will that take, that Piedmont Park?
Full build out will probably take 5 years, but we're going to get a good jump on it and make it accessible, hopefully within 9 months.
I think that's something people have not thought enough about it. It's something
Well,
very different than everything else.
It's 30 acres on the Saluda River, right?
Untouched, yeah.
Untouched. And we're going to open it up, and people will be able to come there and enjoy it. And it's a beautiful stretch of the river, and we're just really excited about it.
Anderson County Economic Development Director Burris Nelson recently echoed something you've said to me before about new challenges in bringing in industry to Anderson, electrical demand. And it sounds like the requests for large amounts of electricity are going to continue to grow. Why is that? And do we have enough capacity here, or what's the issue?
Hey, Santee Cooper is adding to their power plant in Star area. That's going to be able to serve 89,000 homes. Really, it's not a capacity problem. At this time, it's getting the parts in a timely manner. And for a large user, that could be 2 years out. But I can tell you that one thing that uses a lot of electricity is a battery plant. We will not have a battery plant in Anderson County. We will not have a battery recycling plant in Anderson County. And at one time, the one most wonderful thing you could have is a data center. Probably about 30 or 40 jobs, throw off a lot of tax money, sucks all of the electricity in the world out. So we're not looking for data centers either. There are other things that we tell people that you need to go somewhere else, because that's not what we're looking for in Anderson County. And we have, and we will continue to do so.
But the industries we're looking for, they still want, there's some capacity looking to grow in the future, or what's the?
Well, these are specialty projects that really need that huge amount of electricity.
So, like you're saying, the problem is building a substation and running all the lines. It's not that we don't have the capacity to provide.
No, Duke and Blue Ridge and Santee, they have the capacity. It's just the lag time between putting all of that together. Usually on a big plant, it takes 2 years to build. The electricity could take 2 years to build. People don't want to get into that. And again, a lot of those big users are people we don't need around here.
You mentioned the airport playground, but the airport itself is undergoing something that really could make it an even busier airport.
Well, we've always been fortunate to have two runways. And at one time there was talk, well, let's just do away with the other runway. And a lot of conversation. But having two runways is something special in the upstate. And we're Instrument ILS airport, so bad weather you can fly into Anderson. This is going to make us even more of a destination for people to fly in and out of Anderson. And we make our money from people buying fuel when they land in Anderson. That's how we run the airport, on fuel sales. So the more attractive that is, the more we get to continue improving the airport. But the good thing is, because of a grant, we're going to have 90% of it paid for. And that's a big lick, so it's not going to cost us but 10%. Still a nice amount of money, but it would be terrible if we had to close that secondary runway.
And the demand out there, I think Brett Garrison said, 83 people on a waiting list for hangar space?
83 people on that list waiting for hangar space right now. One of the things we just did at McFalls Landing, and I don't know why it took so long, but before, when you went in there for an event, you couldn't hear.
Right.
So we brought in an acoustic engineer, and they figured out what the problem was, and now you can actually hear there. So yes, but we have things on the ramps that we need to do, on that wall, and cleaning up that property in general, and those are all either underway or beginning phases to do that.
Anything else you're looking at here going into the middle of January and you're looking forward to for the next month or so?
Picking up limbs and debris is the thing that we really need to make sure that happens in a quick way.
And people can just call solid waste if they haven't been.
They can call solid waste, but we're going to get there. We're just not there yet. And some places that we got there, we got to go back because they pushed some more stuff on the road. But that's fine. That's what it's there for.